Hi, I want to take some of the mystery out of what it's like working with a buyer's agent when you're purchasing a home. In the state of Georgia, uh, for me to work with a client, I have to have an agreement. So in other words, I can work with a buyer as my client or with a seller as my client. I can't work with both a buyer and a seller as my clients on the same transaction. And we'll talk about some of those requirements for agency in a future YouTube video. But today, let's just talk about what it's like to work with a buyer's agent, to work with me. The first thing that's going to happen when you reach out to me is I'm going to schedule an appointment. It's usually an hour for us to talk about your dreams, your goals for the home that you're looking for, and I'll also walk you through the processes. Now, most often I would say, come on into my office or meet in a coffee shop, but in today's world we can have a telephone call. I could arrange a call through Zoom. Whatever is comfortable for all parties works just fine with me. So when we have that call, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to try to gather some details. How quickly are you looking for a home? One of the major questions I'm going to ask you is, are you pre-qualified? Have you talked to a lender? And it's fine if you haven't. I've got resources to help you. So I will give you those at that point. Talk about your time frame and what your dreams are for your home. So I have a long questionnaire that'll just help us guide us through the conversation. So we'll talk about if you have an idea of what your price is. Now, the first thing I want to bring to your attention is, say you're pre-approved for $350,000. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to want to purchase a home that costs $350,000. You've probably done some analysis on your own to determine really what's comfortable with your budget. It's best not to become house poor. In other words, spending every penny that you have for your living expenses. So the next thing we'll talk about is, how large of a home do you want? What type of, is there an architectural style? Is there some impression that you want to make on people when they come into your home? The number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, what kind of spaces do you like? Do you like an open concept home, or do you like a separate kitchen, a separate dining room? Do you want a finished basement? Do you need a man cave? Do you have any special artwork that you need to care for? Do you have any large pieces of furniture or possibly exercise equipment? So those questions will help me when I'm performing my home searches. So once we've gone through that list and had our conversations, what I'll do is I will then, after the meeting is over, I'll do a search. I'll do a property search, and I'll find a number of properties through the money list services that would meet your criteria on paper. And I will send those to you. From there, I'll get your feedback. And I always want to get your best feedback. I want you to be brutally honest with me. None of these properties are my homes. So, you're not going to hurt my feeling by saying that this property is ugly, it's terrible. All that input is going to be helpful to me. So once you've had a chance to review the properties that I've sent for you, we'll schedule an appointment to go see those properties. We probably won't see all of them. We'll most likely pick out the top 3 or 4. In most likelihood, none of those will be your perfect home, but it's going to give us a start. So we'll tour those 3 or 4 properties, and then as we're touring them, I'm going to ask you again to be open and honest with me. Tell me your likes. Tell me what you see that you really like in the place, what you hate, what you can't live with, what would be a deal breaker. And then at the end, as we're leaving the property, I'm going to ask you to rate the property from a scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning it has virtually no possibility of being your home, to 10 being that it's absolutely the perfect home. It's ideal. Now, if we get to that point, we might need to stop and write a contract, but that's unlikely to happen on our first adventure out. So from there, I personally like to save my clients time. I don't like to be dragging my clients out to see 3, 4, 5 properties on their Saturday that they have off, and then find that none of them really meet their expectations. So when we have that first outing and you're giving me all your input, that helps me start to see the properties through your eyes. So after that initial outing, what I'll do is I'll continue to do property searches and find other properties that meet your criteria. Then I will go on my own. I can see 13, 14, 15 houses or more in an afternoon, rush, go through them quickly and see if they meet your criteria. The one thing that would be fabulous to do is to be able to give you a call from one of those properties that I've seen, say, hey, I'm standing in your home. When can you come see it? That would be ideal, and that's my goal. Otherwise, I seem to be wasting your time. I don't necessarily want to see these homes for the first time as you're seeing them for the first time. Now, there could be exceptions. With the market the way it is currently, it's a seller's market, so a good house that's priced well is flying off the market. So there may be instances where one of us, either I sent you a listing or you've done your own search and you sent it to me, of a property that's just hit the market. There are going to be times that we're going to say, hey, let's run out there and check that place out. So that's how we get started with our relationship. During our initial consultation, one of the other things that I'll go over with you is the buyer brokerage agreement. That is an agreement between the two of us saying that you have hired me to be your real estate agent. This document is not really the best analogy. It's not a marriage contract. It's just a contract really that says we're dating. So, in other words, if, we start working together and you decide that I'm not the right agent for you, or I decide that I'm not the best agent for you, we can mutually terminate that agreement. Just, basically send a text or an email saying, hey, this is over, and we'll absolve that relationship. So that's a pretty easy thing, but we're required by the state of Georgia to have that agreement in place. And it's always beneficial for buyers to have that in place because, again, part of that contract stipulates that everything that you tell me is going to be held in strict confidence. So, anything you tell me about your financial position, or anything about your personal life, I'm going to keep that to myself. I can't share that with anybody. So, it is a good document to have signed. Also at the consultation, we'll talk about the steps that are included and what the monetary requirements are going to be for the purchase of your home. We're going to talk about, the importance of being pre-qualified for a loan. We don't want to go out and start looking at places that are, unaffordable for you. Plus, if we find that perfect home for you, we have to have a pre-qualification or pre-approval letter that goes along with the offer that's submitted. So the next thing we'll talk about are the steps, steps for purchasing a home and the terms that apply. When do you want to have the closing? When would you like to have, how long would you like to have a due diligence period? What is a due diligence period? What is earnest money? How much earnest money do I have to have? What is an inspection going to cost? What's an appraisal going to cost? What are closing costs? And can I get assistance on having the seller contribute towards closing costs. We'll talk about all of that during the consultation. The other thing that we'll do during the consultation that I like is just to talk about some of the things that you can expect from me. And also, how do you like to communicate? Some people would rather have a phone call. Some people don't want to talk on the phone. Some people would rather have a text. Some people would rather have an email. So we'll work that out. Whatever works for you works for me. We'll talk about the process and the importance of hiring a buyer's agent that you trust, because you'll see me or your buyer's agent do most of their work up front when you're looking at houses. However, the real work really starts from the time that contract is accepted up until closing. There's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. We're time bound to meet a number of deadlines, and it's the buyer's agent's responsibility to make sure all those timelines are met in the effort to protect your earnest money. So if you're interested in moving forward or just talking about the possibility of purchasing a home, I'd love to help you. It's always easy to find me or find my contact information. Just remember Bruce Sells Atlanta. You can find brucesells.atlanta.com. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and also brucesells.atlanta@gmail.com. I'm never too busy to help you find your way home, and I look forward to working with you. Thanks.